President Jacob Zuma visits the World Economic Forum on Africa and says he doesn't mind being booed. A Nigerian pastor appears in court facing 22 charges of human trafficking and sexual assault. Hello and welcome to it. You're watching eNews Direct. I'm Duduzile Ramela.
A very good evening. I am William Lahong.
To comment on any of our stories, you can find us on Twitter and Facebook. That's at eNews Direct.
You can also track our main stories using the following hashtags: Farina Crash and Collini.
But first, President Jacob Zuma says he doesn't mind being booed at because it shows democracy is alive in South Africa. He was referring to the unprecedented cancellation of the May Day event in Bloemfontein after he was heckled by people opposed to his presidency. Zuma was speaking at the World Economic Forum on Africa in Durban.
The World Economic Forum on Africa kicked off with the president doing a walkabout, greeting delegates attending the 27th Forum on Africa. But just when he thought he'd stop to answer questions related to the event, journalists pressed him for a response to Monday's booing at COSATU's May Day rally.
You're leaving the office right now, Mr. President.
I'm not leaving the office right now. No, not at all. I'm not leaving the office right now.
Yes, but what kind of, what will be the end?
Wait.
The theme for this year's Forum on Africa is inclusive growth. But just how does that tie in with South Africa's own program of radical economic transformation?
As we try to industrialize through our industrial policy action plans, which are devised in conjunction with and discussions with business, but which ultimately are a series of actions that government entities will have to carry out to promote industrialization.
We are also interested in transforming that economy, particularly the structure of production and the ownership patterns of the economy. For us in South Africa, the issue of inclusive growth is not a nice to have, it's an urgent.
South Africa already lags behind on the issue of digital migration, having missed the 2015 International Telecommunications Union deadline to switch its signal. But the new communications minister says by 2019, South Africa will go digital.
Right now, I have a deadline for 2018 December, and if I work with the private sector, I'll be able to do that. I'll be able to deliver on this.
As day one of the World Economic Forum comes to an end, the buzzword inclusive growth remains the main talking point, with the South African delegation here saying that inclusive growth and radical economic transformation are simply two sides of the same coin, with the president saying that radical economic transformation is the precursor to inclusive growth. Jody Jacobs, Durban.
The ANC has denied that President Jacob Zuma was set up for an ambush during May Day celebrations. The party Secretary General Gwede Mandashe says it's a myth that the booing of the president was coordinated.
In preparation for that rally, we did meet COSATU on Friday. We did meet COSATU. It was myself and the TSG. We met Comrade Beg and Comrade Stomo, who assured us that things were under control, we don't need to worry. So it's not that we left everything to chances.
The Social Development Minister has missed a parliamentary meeting for the second time this week. Batabile Dlamini was supposed to brief Parliament's Portfolio Committee, but had to attend a cabinet meeting, a move that's left MPs furious.
It's just over a month since the SASSA income grant saga came to a head, and the first time that Parliament's Social Development Committee met since the parliamentary recess. On the agenda was the Social Development Department's annual report and budget, but the political heads of the department was nowhere to be seen.
I have two apologies. One is from the Minister and the Deputy Minister.
The reason for Batabile Dlamini could not attend, today's meeting clashed with a cabinet meeting.
The Minister is accountable for this department and she is never here to ask questions. Is there some way we can look at changing the date so we do not, or times, so that we do not please clash with Cabinet and so that we may have her to answer questions?
We do not get to act with the Minister or the Deputy Minister, and we don't have the DG here who signed off on the annual report. Is there no way that we could reschedule?
MPs wanted to be briefed by the minister on issues surrounding the SASSA scandal.
There are outstanding issues on SASSA that we are expecting to get a full report from the minister.
The committee says it will set aside a date next week to be briefed by Batabile Dlamini on the grants issue. Lester Kivet, Parliament.
The families of 18 children who died in a minibus accident in Mpumalanga are appealing for support. The children were killed when their taxi burst into flames after colliding with a truck nearly 2 weeks ago. 7 children survived the collision. 4 of them remain in hospital. A memorial service was held in Sokhulumi village outside Bronkhorstspruit this afternoon.
These are some of the 18 children who died when their minibus taxi collided with a truck. Some families lost more than one child. Their classmates and friends say they'll miss them dearly. The devastated parents and close relatives are asking for more support during this difficult time. But traditional leaders in the area say government must commit to fixing the R25 road. And government made this commitment to the grieving families.
Children from Mpumalanga that are coming to Gauteng and children from Gauteng that are going to Mpumalanga will have a scholar transport that is sponsored by government, because these children are children of one government.
Another memorial service for the pupils will be held on Thursday, while a mass funeral will take place over the weekend. Malungelo Boy, Sokhulumi, outside Bronkhorstspruit.
A controversial pastor charged with 22 counts of sexual assault and human trafficking appeared in the Port Elizabeth Magistrates Court for a bail application today. Hundreds of congregants came out in support of their pastor. In an affidavit read out in court, the Nigerian national denies all claims against him, saying they're fabricated. The prosecution has opposed bail, saying the man has no fixed address. The pastor is not being named as he is yet to enter a plea.
He walked up into the dock carrying a Bible. The charge sheet was read out today, and he has been charged with 22 counts of human trafficking and sexual assault. He used older women in the congregation to speak to these women, to convince these younger girls to come to his Umhlanga house and stay with him in the house.
Staying with court-related matters, the Collini case has been postponed until Friday. Residents in the northwest town have come out to support the family of the teenager who was allegedly killed over a sunflower. The 2 farm workers accused of killing him are applying for bail. The investigating officer says a witness saw the suspects throwing Mahlomola Musweu from a moving car. Now, this contradicts the suspect's version that the boy jumped. Some community members have submitted an affidavit in court supporting bail for the accused.
For now, there's been charged with murder, which is Schedule 5. And then during this testimony by the IO, he said that there may be additional charges like kidnapping and defeating the ends of justice.
Let's focus on 2 other news now, and the revelation of the sale of South African crude oil reserves appears to point to high-level collusion. The country is left exposed by the sale, as the 90-day stockpile we usually have has been sold to 3 bidders at an alleged discounted price. The Strategic Fuel Fund is being accused of selling the barrels in an uncompetitive process.
Parliament is eagerly awaiting an Auditor General report which will shed light on the sale of South Africa's strategic oil reserves. About 10 million barrels were sold to Glencore, Vitol and Talaveras, allegedly at $28 a barrel, $10 less than market price at the time. The DA believes the sale could not have happened without approval by senior energy officials.
Was Minister Tina Johansburg-Peterson complicit in the sale, or was she duped? So there are parliamentary processes that will have to be followed, and there are processes in terms of legality that we will also pursue.
The
Johannesburg Peterson had told Parliament that the reserves were merely on rotation.
The rotation requires that the stock that is sold is immediately replaced with new stock, so that there's a constant level at which our oil reserves are set. And these are our strategic fuel stocks. We're supposed to have up to 90 days. So, for example, there's an oil crisis somewhere in the world, our whole economy doesn't grind to a halt because we have our strategic fuel stocks.
Not anymore, though. Now, South Africa will have to spend millions refilling the stockpile, and until then, remain vulnerable. Approached for comment, the Department of Energy could only say they'll be investigating the matter internally, updates of which will be revealed in coming weeks. The DA says the Auditor General report is a necessary first step to uncover the truth. Peladi Sutusa, Cape Town.
In news from beyond our borders, Cameroonian journalists have marked World Press Freedom Day by calling on authorities to respect media freedom. They say they are concerned about limitations placed on reporters. It's after journalist Ahmed Abba's 10-year prison sentence. Abba was sentenced for allegedly failing to denounce terrorism and benefiting from its proceeds over his reports on militant group Boko Haram. His sentence has drawn widespread outrage, with many accusing the government of trying to silence independent media. And at least 5 people have been killed in Syria and several wounded after a car bomb blast near the Turkish border. The incident takes place just hours after a Syrian opposition group suspended its participation in Russian-led peace talks in Kazakhstan. The group wants an end to bombardments of areas under its control. Syria's 6-year civil war has killed hundreds and displaced over 11 million people. At the new State of the Art Council chamber that cost a whopping 360 million rand to build. And court has adjourned in the Henry van Bredas triple murder case. Proceedings focused on security at Desalcia Estate in Stellenbosch. Security guard Lorenzo Africa was cross-examined. He told the court that there weren't any problems with the fence that night. Africa says there were also no alarm activations for him to check on. Van Bredas is accused of murdering his parents and brother, as well as the attempted murder of his sister at their home in 2015. If you've missed any of the stories we're tracking for you tonight, we are on Twitter and Facebook. That's at eNews Direct. Or you can head on over to our website. That's eNCA.com/direct. Your business news and your weather details after this. Money matters now, and the Reserve Bank is concerned about another credit ratings downgrade. The bank says it could lead to higher interest rates and put the stability of financial systems at risk. Ratings agency Moody's has put the country on review for a downgrade. This after 2 ratings agencies downgraded the sovereign credit to junk status. The Reserve Bank says it could have a significant impact on the cost of funding and investment flows. And Global Credit Ratings has assigned Grindrod Bank a national scale rating of BBB- in the long term and A2 in the short term. Grindrod Bank facilitates monthly social welfare payments for SASSA beneficiaries through accounts held with the bank. The African-based ratings agency, GCR, says it notes the potential loss in the bank's net fee income due to the uncertainty surrounding the renewal of the contract. The controversial contract between SASSA and Cash Paymaster Services expires in April next year. Grindrod's also received a stable outlook from the ratings agency. With that, let's see how the markets closed today. Let's check in with the Weather Center.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Weather Centre. Let's take a quick look at today's satellite loop, and it was a mostly dry day over the country, although a cold front passing to the south brought some light rain to some areas along the coastline, while over the interior of the Eastern Cape there were afternoon showers and thunderstorms all across the area. Cloud popped up for the high felt during the course of this Wednesday, but remained dry all across the area. Let's take a look at your forecast for Thursday, and in KZN it will be partly cloudy as well as warm. There is a small chance for a few thunder showers over the southern parts as well as for some areas inland, including Ladysmith and around Vryheid. For the Eastern Cape it will be mostly cloudy once again. There's a 60% chance for showers and thunderstorms, in particular for East London, Bishu as well as around Grahamstown, with lots of cloud cover in those areas. For the Western Cape, it's going to be a dry Thursday, cloud cover persisting over parts of the Karoo and along the south coast, while further westwards it's going to remain unseasonably warm and dry. Another warm day expected for the Northern Cape. We will have some cloud cover from Postmasburg through to Kimberley as well as Colesberg, but we don't expect any rainfall. And dry as well into the Free State, a partly cloudy and warm day for this province, 25 for Bloemfontein in the afternoon. Crossing over into the northwest, where we see daytime highs getting above that 25-degree mark. Mahikeng, 27 as your maximum, partly cloudy and dry for this area as well. And in Limpopo, it's going to be a sunny and hot day for Musina, starting off at 15, but climbing to a maximum of 30 degrees. For Mpumalanga, there's also a small chance for a couple of thunder showers in the afternoon along the escarpment as well as around Ermelo. Otherwise, it's going to be a mostly dry day for the region. And finally, into Gauteng, where near perfect weather continues over this province. Chilly at first for Vereniging at 7 degrees, but climbing into the mid-20s all across the province later on. A look ahead to Friday, when a weak front will bring some evening drizzle to the peninsula. A few thunder showers possible for George as well as some areas over the Western Cape interior. And for the start of the weekend, a couple of isolated showers expected for the far southern parts of the country. Elsewhere, it's going to be warm and dry once again.
Thank you, Joel. After the break, an Egyptian artist is hoping to make history after handwriting a holy book. Those details after this. Now get this, an Egyptian artist is on a mission to break the world's record for the largest handwritten Quran.
Saad Mohammed says it's taken him all of 3 years and more than 500 meters of paper to reproduce the holy book.
Saad Mohammed dropped out of school at just 10 years old. But this did not deter his eagerness to continue educating himself by reading books. And now he's putting those skills to good use. Mohammed has spent the last 3 years creating what he hopes will be the world's biggest handwritten Quran.
So I began by writing a Quran, but I didn't like it, so I wrote another one, but I didn't like that one either, and a third, and so on.
Mohammed has rewritten the Muslim holy book on a huge paper scroll.
This Quran is 700 meters long, and of course that's a large amount of paper, and it's very heavy. So of course it was very difficult for it to be produced in paper.
He's now hoping his masterpiece will make it into the Guinness World Records. And he may well be in the running. Guinness has a record for the world's biggest printed Quran, but none for a handwritten version.
A reminder of your top stories before we say goodbye. President Jacob Zuma visits the World Economic Forum on Africa and says he doesn't mind being booed. A Nigerian pastor appears in court facing 22 charges of human trafficking and sexual assault. And that's a wrap from the eNews Direct team.
Your favorite drama, Rhythm City, is up next.
We'll see you again tomorrow night. Have a fantastic evening. Bye-bye.